We are back to talk some 49ers football. We got some good stuff to talk about today. We got some rumors. We've got potential insider manipulation leak finding phenomenal. And we also have an entire draft plus undrafted free agent class to discuss. So plenty of stuff to talk about around the San Francisco 49ers today. And I am looking forward to getting into it all with you right now. So shout out to SDS. Drop your SDS in the chat, smash that like button, and let's talk about all things 49ers right now. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What is going down, squad? Hopefully, you guys are having a phenomenal Monday. You guys are hopefully settled in. You've done your research on all the draft picks, and you're sitting back going, yeah, I think the 49ers did a pretty darn good job of addressing some needs, some holes, and not only doing that, but identifying quality players and going out and getting them. Um, Honestly, when you look at some of the players in this class, it feels like one of the better drafts in recent years. Like you can really see right away how some of these guys are going to contribute. I think when you look back to last year, you see like the Jair Brown pick. I think that was a home run pick, and I think we all agreed with that. But you saw the Jake Moody pick. We understood why it was happening. We didn't love the idea, the thought of a kicker in the third, but I think we all understood Robbie Gould wasn't returning. They needed to lock that spot down. They found Moody. They got him. All right, fine. Cameron Latu, we talked about that. Felt like a bit of a reach. And then when you take guys like Darrell Luter Jr., we like the idea of it. There was some upside there, but we really didn't know. Robert Beal Jr., we like the idea of it, but I don't really know. It just feels like with this one, we have a little bit more like surefire idea of what to expect with some of these draft picks. So I'm excited about some of these guys that they brought in, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in training camp. Jeremy says, SDF, what's up, Brad? Hope you're feeling a little better. Feeling a little better. Just a little. It was fun day. Sunday came around, and I was like, oh, I'm not coughing every 15 seconds. It's funny that it had to wait till the draft was over for that to go away, but I still got it. Like I'm almost just coughed right there. Trying not to. But we'll see, hear it. But it's a lot better. Now I'm just dealing with the allergies and all that good stuff. But let's get through some of the news and notes from today before we get into the draft. Mr. Lowe says, what do you think about Jamal Adams? And if you guys aren't familiar, I actually just posted a video about this before I hopped on. But there was a report that came out from a Seattle beat reporter who works for the Seattle Times that says that Jamal Adams, there is some interest in him returning to Seattle. And that was basically the foundation of the report. But what buried within the report was the fact that there are other teams also reaching out to Jamal Adams. And one of those teams has been the San Francisco 49ers. And not only have the 49ers shown interest in Jamal Adams, but apparently they've been keeping in touch, whatever that means. So, is there the potential that Jamal Adams could sign with the San Francisco 49ers? It's an interesting thought process considering, he is a former all pro. I mean, what Jamal Adams was doing with the Jets was pretty awesome. He was a baller with the Jets, but ever since he got traded to Seattle, it's just been kind of downhill from there. And basically, the last 2 years, have just been riddled with injury. And also, too, with him being 28 years old, on the downside of 28, are are you really that interested in him as a safety, or would you be interested in him as a potential linebacker? I feel like I would be more interested in Jamal Adams as a linebacker more so than a safety. Um, that's just kind of where I'm looking at it at this particular point. But honestly, I'm like, I don't even know if I love it. I don't know if I like it. I think it'd be interesting. It would be really interesting to see how he fit with this team and if that was something that actually happened. Um, but that's one of the stories from today. It'll be interesting to see if it actually does occur. I would imagine he would be cheap. Um, but I don't know. Seems kind of like uh man, I don't know. I don't know if it would be like a redemption type of season for him where maybe he could bounce back and come back to fruition. I don't know. I don't know if I like it. Um Especially came across as kind of like a diva from the outside looking in. So we'll see how it goes. Some other things that have kind of popped up today and that have been percolating is this whole Brandon Ayuk and Debo Samuel situation. I think we were all kind of like, yay, we made it through the first round, second round, we made it through the draft. Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk still on the roster, all this good stuff. And then Adam Schefter went on Pat McAfee today, and he says that the plan right now is to move forward with those guys. But he says things can change, and you don't really know. Basically, it was like, yeah, the plan is for them to move forward with Debo and BA right now, but that could change, in the future. Well, of course, a lot of things can change in the future. And since this came out, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Steelers Twitter is buzzing right now because they believe that they are landing a big time wide receiver prospect. It all started with Bryant McFadden, who is a former Steelers defensive back, um, who's pretty quality reporter. Like, he doesn't do this stuff. Yeah, I think he works for CBS. I've been seeing him in the media for a couple years now. He's not like a clickbait type of guy. So he put out a clickbait type of post where he's effectively saying that the Steelers are on the brink of making a big time move. He says, "Oh, Omar is working. The Steelers are very close to landing a significant playmaker." Well, obviously, nothing directed towards San Francisco 49ers there or what have you, but you got all those Steelers people like keep tying this thing to the 49ers. Then you got Antonio Brown getting into the mix, saying this very similar things. Uh, and saying that it's a big name wide receiver trade that's close to being done. So I don't know if it's the San Francisco 49ers. Um, it kind of feels like it could be Cortland Sutton with the Broncos. But there's a lot of Steelers people trying to connect it to the 49ers. So, man, when we thought we're out of the smoke business, it comes back, man. It somehow comes back to us. But it does feel like that the player involved could be Cortland Sutton. But a lot of people are trying to tie it to Ayuk and Debo. We'll see. I don't know how real it is. But that's why I really haven't even made a video on it or anything. I've just kind of been waiting to see it all play out, and then we can go from there. But I think it's safe to say with the San Francisco 49ers drafting 2 wide receivers in the first 4 rounds, they are at least definitely looking towards the future for the wide receiver position. Obviously, taking Ricky Pearsall in the first round and then Jacob Cowing in the 4th round. The 49ers are looking to the future with that position. There's definitely names that are going to be on notice as a result of those draft picks coming in. So we'll see. We'll see what ultimately happens. Um, I hope BA sticks around and is wide receiver 1 for a long time to come, but we shall see. James Foster, appreciate the super chat, says, I really like this draft, but most of these guys have reached their ceiling, as most are 4 to 6 year college players. That was intentional and a good idea. I feel confident none will develop into an elite player. This is actually a phenomenal topic, James, and I think that will be a great transition to lead us into our conversation about the NFL draft and the players that the San Francisco 49ers have selected. And that is a great point, James. If you look like when I talk about the draft and my personal draft philosophies, um, I am a ageist, and I've said this before. Like I'm trying to get if you could find me a 20-year-old draft prospect, a 21-year-old draft prospect, that's phenomenal because you draft those guys, you get them in the building, you put the time into developing them and, growing them and watching them mature so that when they're 24, 25, they're ready for their second contract. And you can then give them the contract in which they've earned at 24, 25. And then for that money that you are likely paying them at a high value, you're also getting the returns of their peak years. So that I'm a big fan of aligning the second contract with their peak years rather than, you know, paying a guy at 28 years old his second deal because you've already kind of seen the peak years and then you're kind of stuck in that territory of like, well, he's earned a big time contract. Uh, but I don't know if that's exactly what I want to do. So I've always had the thought process of if I see a younger prospect next to a guy who's 24 and I have equal grades on them, I'll shift the younger player above the older player. However, it feels like the 49ers did the inverse of that and they actually went for the older player. And to be honest, I'm not surprised. I don't feel like Kyle Shanahan likes rookies. And I said this dating back to when the San Francisco 49ers were in the business of drafting a quarterback. I was like, my hesitation of drafting a rookie quarterback was the fact that Kyle would have to have patience. And I think Kyle is very demanding of his expectations for players. And that's why you see a lot of rookies kind of flame out with the San Francisco 49ers and just not find a ton of success because one, they either don't get the opportunity or two, they just don't catch up to speed fast enough. And I think when you look at the age in which Kyle Shanahan had drafted a lot of these guys, they have a lot of experience already. Almost all of them have more than 4 years of college experience. But that is going to bode well for being able to play right away. Now, to the thought process of they're not going to develop any further, I don't necessarily believe that. I think there's plenty of room for development. I just think your window is shorter. I think that's the challenge. I think your window develop is smaller, and your peak years is smaller as well. You don't get to mold the kid from the very beginning. He's kind of all it's like let me try to think of an analogy for this. It's like versus getting a puppy, right? You get a puppy right when you can adopt them. That means you get to teach them where their food bowl is, where to go potty, how to potty. You go to potty pads to outside. You got their treats, like like you're teaching and growing this puppy and watching them develop, and you teach them their habits and you train them and you teach them and mold them to be how we expect them to be in this household, to be a good boy, to be a good doggo, right? Whereas Kyle, it feels like with this draft, went straight to the shelter and he just went and picked the already trained, the already neutered, the already like, he went and got the 3-year-old dogs from the shelter, the 4-year-old like pit bulls that are already like just sitting there yoked up, ready to go play, ready to go on a walk. They don't need their shots. They don't need that type of stuff. That's kind of what it felt like Kyle did. He went to the pound and he's like, you know what? We're good on the puppies. Give me the pit bulls, baby. Give me the pit bulls that nobody's valuing. I want those guys. Bring them in here. Let's go. Um, man, what high class draft analysis that was. But to be honest, like that feels like part of the theme of of this is like he got guys that they're already pretty solidified in who they are. Now you game them up to speed, you get them in the system, and we're ready to go. There's no, Obviously they're going to have to acclimate to the speed of the game and all those types of things, but you're not dealing with little puppy dogs expecting to go out on the big dog field and be able to play with the big dogs. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Um, because not all puppies are like Brock, Like Brock was a puppy who could hang with the big dogs and could, pull on the rope and do all that stuff. I don't think I don't think Kyle likes to be training puppies out here. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He was. Oh, I love it. Good stuff. That was quality analysis. Come on, Stovey. You know the vibes. That was quality. That was quality work. But I think one of the things that I've noticed from talking with 49er fans, from seeing people talk about this whole situation is I think a lot of people have really come around to the thank you. I'll take that. I'll take that. It came to me on the spot. I tried. Probably didn't nail it, but I tried my best. Um, with the Ricky Pearsall pick, I think we've all come around to it. I think one, the initial shock of thinking it was Cooper DeJean. Shout out, dude. Did you guys see the Game of Thrones theory of the 49ers potentially trying to identify a leak within the building? And that's why the Cooper DeJean pick was leaked. If that is true, gosh, I love Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch even more, man. That is such a galaxy brain move. And if that was the case, I'm not even mad anymore. I'm really not mad. At first, when when we saw that it was Cooper DeJean come across the screen and the notification, we had to go through the initial like excitement to the walking back the pick, and then it was like, wait, who do we take? Uh we took Ricky Pearsall, not Cooper DeJean. Once we got through the initial shock of the bait and switch, I I, I think we like the pick. I like the pick. I like the pick a lot. I actually like, and I said that in real time. I was like, man, Ricky's a really good player, man. Like, but we were so focused on the fact that we're like, wait, it was Cooper. It's not Cooper. They passed on Cooper. They passed on Jerry. They passed on AD. They passed on Lad. They passed on all these guys. We were just like, we were in a whirlwind state of what the heck just happened. But apparently the theory is, and it's a beautiful theory, is that with all these leaks and and hilariously enough, a lot of them have been coming from Mike Silver. Mike Silver has been on top of all the 49ers moves throughout this offseason. And it was his tweet that leaked the wrong pick. And the theory is that the 49ers leaked the wrong pick to certain people to see who the leak was. And if that was the case, I love that. That gamesmanship. The like, oh, we got we got a snake in the grass here, people. We got to weed them out. And so to me, if that was, let's just say it was true, that means they had an idea of who it was. They set that person up with the wrong information and they shared the wrong. Woo! Oh, dude, that's like that would be a phenomenal show. Like who can we get someone to make do like a spin-off like Netflix series off of like basically just refabricating Kyle and John Lynch's story as the 49 like running the 49ers, but just spin it off into a Netflix series. Dude, it would be so entertaining. Oh, it would be so entertaining. Bro, could you imagine the episode of like guys, John, Parag, Jed, we have someone in our circle who is spilling the beans to the media. How are we going to get to the bottom of this? Ooh, let's set up, let's stage, let's leak the wrong pick at 31. And then let's see who shares it. Dude, if that's true, it's so good. But anyways, the point being is the player, the person, Ricky Pearsall, I think he's going to he's going to look good as a San Francisco 49er. Number 2, I think he's going to fit in really well with what the 49ers are trying to accomplish offensively. Um, again, I like the player. That was never the problem. The problem was the misinformation and the perceived reach. But even as we've gone through it, it doesn't even feel like that much of a reach anymore because they got their guy. And at the end of the day, when you're doing these drafts, you get your guy. And that's what they did. They got their guy. And you think about how he fits with the 49ers, and you're like, yeah, he fits. He fits exactly what we're trying to do. And so I'm thinking about it, and it's like we need some downfield threats outside of Brandon Ayuk. And all due respect to Debo Samuel, but he just hasn't been that for us. He has been an offensive weapon at or behind the line of scrimmage. I don't know why it seemingly just hasn't worked out, you know, for him because I thought he was a pretty dynamic route runner coming out of South Carolina. I thought his slant game was on point. And it just feels like we don't use him in that mold. We do. I'm not gonna say we don't. We do. Um, but I wonder if there's some to be desired in regards to more separation in those scenarios. So you feel like you get a guy like Ricky Pearsall who is so shifty that he can like that's the kind of guy that you don't want to be matched up in a phone booth with because he not only has route manipulation in his blood, but he's a great athlete. So you take the combination of route manipulation and being a phenomenal explosive athlete. That's a dangerous combo to put in a Kyle Shanahan scheme with a deadly accurate Brock Purdy. And again, think of Ricky Pearsall and Brock Purdy developing a timing together where they can figure out each other's game and how Ricky wins, how Ricky gets open, and then Brock starts to develop in anticipating his timing off Pearsall, and you're like, ooh, I could start to see these guys cooking over the middle because honestly, when it's I would say uh middle to deep intermediate throws have been to Ayuk, but if you can add another threat in that same area of the field that's not just Ayuk, then you can really open things up. And also he can challenge vertically. And then And then, oh, don't forget, 4th round draft pick, Jacob Cowing coming in to stretch vertically, to play in that deep intermediate part of the field. Like, hell yeah, bro. God, I'm so happy that Justin put us on the Cowing hype, because we watched a lot of Cowing early on, because that was Justin's guy. And I like to look at the guys that Justin says, hey, we need to look at this guy. So Cowing was a guy early on. Honestly, I was like, I don't know if Kyle would see the vision. And then when I talked to a bunch of wide receivers at the combine, and they're like, yeah, we met with the 49ers. We met with the 49ers. And I talked to Cowing, and he was like, no, I didn't meet with the 49ers. I was like, that sucks. But then Cowing goes out and has a phenomenal scouting combine. And dude, Cowing's so much fun to watch on tape. I remember the first time that Justin showed me like a clip of Cowing, and I just saw like one clip, and I thought the dude was like 6'2". And I remember I was like comping him to guys that are like 6'2", because I hadn't done any research on him. I had just seen the one clip that he had showed me, and in my head I was watching him. I was like, oh, that guy's like 6'2", right? Because you're doing a traits pool on like one particular clip. I'm like, yeah, it's a solid like 6'2" wide receiver. It's like, nah, that guy's 5'8". I was like, hey, what? He's 5'8"? Literally. I had like it did not cross my mind that he was 5'8" until I finally like did some research on him. And I was like, oh, he's 5'8". He doesn't look like he's 5'8" on tape at all. He don't play like he's 5'8". He doesn't approach contact like he's 5'8". He doesn't run routes like he's 5'8". He doesn't high point the ball like he's 5'8". And that's why, again, people get so focused on measurable stuff. That's why I don't care, man. Like, obviously you're going to evaluate the measurable aspect of it, but it's finding the guys who can play above their measurable, right? Who can play above the rim. And if you can play above the rim at 5'8", that's a football player. That's a football right there. That's a football player right there. So the 49ers got some. I think that's the key term here. The 49ers got football players. When you look at each one of these guys, they're all football players. Renardo Green, dog. Like, literally. That's all you got to say about Renardo, dog. He's a football player, man. He is, man. He's great. I'm so happy the 49ers saw the vision on that. I really didn't think they were either. That's another guy that I like, I thought they could, but we know we know they typically like kind of more zone corners. But when I was watching the 49ers defense last year, God, the off zone was so gross. It was so sickening to watch, because they would just play with the 8 to 10 yard cushion with bail technique, and they would just throw 8-yard passes. So, and then the DBs would have to close on the pass. Now, obviously, that means that things weren't getting behind them, but it also meant they were giving up a lot of first downs. And I was like, man, can we clutch up and play some press? Can we clutch up and just run some man, because we have a decent enough pass rush that I think we're getting home if we could just hold the quarterback for a half a second more. We're getting home on more sacks. But we did not have a marriage of rush and coverage. Our rush and coverage was divorced in last season. And I think that's a big reason why we saw Steve Wilkes get let go. There was a divorce between rush and coverage. It did not exist. They did not help each other. And I was not a fan. I was not a fan of the way that we were playing so much off coverage and how it was affecting the pass rush. And so I think when you go and you get a quality press man corner and you look at Mooney and you look at Demo, those guys can play press man. Those guys are feisty, physical cornerbacks with that mentality. Now you got 3 of those. Now maybe we can run a little bit more man, little press man, and bait these quarterbacks a little bit more. So, man, going out and get Renardo, I love it. Excuse me. Woo. Woo. Alberto says, check out the Steelers news about landing a playmaker. We actually already talked about this. I feel like they might be going after Cortland Sutton. That's my guess. I don't know if it's going to be the 49ers. If I had to guess who the Steelers are getting, I would say Cortland Sutton is going to be the guy that they're going to get. But you never know. You never know who it could be. Justin says, the morning you tweeted out who we taken today, I responded Jacob Cowing. You said it's time. Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that. Bro, we manifested this into existence. And this manifestation wouldn't have happened without Justin, head of that Sourdough Scouts, starting the train, man. That's the best part about anyone who's on Cowing. It all started with this guy. So it was cool. I got a lot of love for the Renardo pick. Renardo was my guy. I did a whole YouTube video on him. I had some tweets on him. I did a Bleacher Report stream on him. Like, Renardo was my guy in this class. So when we drafted him, I got a lot of love for it, and I appreciated it. But anyone who deserved love for the Cowing pick is Justin. Justin was on him first, early, and put me on him. And I'm happy for Justin because I believe Justin said that this was the first time the 49ers have drafted his draft crush. And boy, Justin, you know how good it feels now. You know how good it feels, what that validation of loving a player. And I also love, too, that you battled for this player. This is one of my favorite things, too. Justin had to battle for this player because people said he was too small. And so he had to battle for his evaluation and against the measurable crowd who don't actually watch film and they just look at spider charts and say, oh, well, in comparison's sake. So shout out to Justin, man. That's an awesome feeling when you land a guy that you think can help your team and your team sees the vision. Another guy, and I got a film breakdown. I'm going to do a film breakdown probably early tomorrow on him. It's just getting late tonight. I've been breaking down film on Dominic Pooney all day. So all day I've been breaking down Dominic Pooney. Um, I'm curious to see what he does in year one. A lot of people been asking me about him and saying, why can't he play tackle? I don't think he's going to be a tackle in the NFL, but I also think that he's kind of similar to Colton McKivitz, where Colton McKivitz was a tackle at West Virginia, but he's slated to be a guard in the NFL, and that's really what he came in to be. He came in to be a guard, but Colton somehow found himself as a swing tackle. He actually, Colton played in games at guard, but throughout his years, he kind of just went back to tackle. And Colton was a swing tackle for a couple years. And now Colton's gonna get his second shot at tackle next year. And where I look at Dominic is, yeah, he can play tackle. He has some technical concerns, which is why I think he's ultimately going to play guard or center. But the fact that I think he could be a great guard or center at his size and the way that he moves. And obviously he can pass block. That's the thing. He doesn't have great technique with his base, but it's funny. You watch Dominic. I threw a couple games to Dominic now. I have not seen one vertical kick step from him. I've not seen one. I've not seen one vertical kick step. And listen, man, if you're going to be a tackle in the NFL and you're going up against the biggest, baddest, fastest mother effers off the edge, boy, you gotta have a quick, deep vertical kick step. I through a couple games. I don't know if he can. I don't know if he has a verticals pass set in him. And I don't blame him for it at all. He found ways to win without it. And he actually attacked in his pass set more than he would wait for them to come to him, which I found interesting. But I think that's perfect for him to be a guard or center. So he can pass block. He just doesn't have he doesn't have the technique that you need at this level, which is why he'll kick inside. But he's already proven that he can pass block as a guard, he can pass block as a center. So we'll see how much of a shot he gets. Maybe he competes at center with Brendel. Does he go into a 3-man competition with Feliciano and Burford? Do they open up competition for Banks? Which is an interesting thought process. So my look at it is this. The 49ers interior, I feel like the 49ers are a lot more confident with their tackles than they are on the interior. And honestly, the tape would kind of match. The tape would kind of match that. There's a lot of inconsistent play on the interior this year. I would say more so than Colton McKivitz. People don't like to hear that. People don't want to hear that. But that's the truth. The tape says it. The tape says there was way more inconsistencies on the interior of the offensive line than there were at the tackle spots. And so I'm kind of the mindset that we might have full-blown interior competition. May the best man win. I would imagine when we start week 1, though, it will be, this is my way too early offensive line projection, that it will be Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Brendel, Feliciano McKivitz. Um, but we saw a lot of injuries last year, so someone's gonna have to step in eventually. And who knows? Maybe we see Dominic sooner rather than later. Um, also, uh, in regards to the 49ers draft picks, Malik Mustafa, how we feeling on him? I think we got a dog, dude. We got some dogs, man. Like we got some dogs. Cowing, dog. Persol, dog. Pooney, dog. Bernardo, dog. Mustafa, dog. I like it. I think we low key cooking. I think we low key cooking. Do I really believe that? Are you talking to me? Oh no, I think he's having a conversation in the chat. My bad. Um, Malik Mustafa, the 49ers right now obviously have Jair Brown. They have George Odom. They have Talanoa Hufanga, and they bring in Malik Mustafa. So they just got linked to Jamal Adams, and they've been linked to Justin Simmons and some other things. So it'll be fascinating to see if the 49ers add any additional veteran depth at safety. I've been saying it for a long time. Like, if you're just looking for veteran depth, I like Micah Hyde. I don't know. Might not be a popular pick. He's getting a little old. But if you're looking just for like a veteran presence, I like Micah Hyde in that potential role. But we'll see. It feels like the 49ers are still poking around veteran safety depth. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But 49ers decent safety room right now. And that'll be another one to see how it pans out come training camp. Isaac Guerrero. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Isaac Guerrero. He's fun to watch on tape. And I saw, I think, one play of his, and I was like, oh, I had. You're trying to watch someone, and who are you comping them to? Comp them to someone. Sometimes it can be challenging to come up with a player comp. Like you're just like, like Jacob Cowing. Like who would I comp Jacob Cowing to? For me, I saw a lot of Tyler Lockett and Jacob Cowing. It was one of the first comps that came to my mind. A smaller frames guy, but plays much larger than his and can play like a true like X wide receiver, um, and can do it all. So sometimes player comps are challenging to come by. Sometimes player comps come to you right away like not even trying. And so I had two player comps to me come to me today without even trying. The first comp was for Guerrero, but the first comp I'll tell you about is for Cody Schrader, the 49ers undrafted free agent running back. He's 5'8", 202 pounds. He's slow as molasses for a running back. He runs a 4.61 40. But the dude is a production machine, like literal production machine, as he had over 1,600 rushing yards in 2023 and 14 touchdowns. Absolutely insane production. Again, I'm just watching him, trying to get an idea of who this kid is, and I'm like, "That's Alfred Morris." Audio's bad. Oh, wonder why. Hopefully, it's not too bad. It's not my headphones, but thanks for letting me know. So when I was watching Cody Schrader, I was like, "Damn, that looks just like Alfred Morris." And I had no idea what Alfred Morris tested when he ran the 40. I was like, "I'm curious, what did Alfred Morris run?" Alfred Morris ran a 4.67. So, like, they literally are both slow running backs, and Alfred Morris had a phenomenal rookie season, uh, with Kyle Shanahan. So my audio's that jacked up. Is my audio unlistenable? Let me know. If so, we can end it a little sooner. Oh, yeah? So, Justin told me to check out what one of the Steelers guys, the Steelers guy worked for 93.7 The Fan, and, been all over, uh, these rumors and the one who's signing him to the 49ers. Obviously, that is a photo of Juwan Jennings in the Super Bowl. At this point, they just need to announce it. At this point, they just need to announce what this trade is. Dang, what's going on with my audio? Hold on one sec. Check, check. Hmm. Oh god, it looks like my left studio. No audio. No audio. Very quiet now. Is it still staticky? Is it any better? Or is it straight new? It's faint. Why am I having so much issue with my freaking mic lately? They don't wanna see me have success. That's what it is. It's the leakers. They found my page. Glitchy still alright. Alright, we'll end it there. I'm having some technical difficulties. Well, Cheyenne's saying that's better. Now so now it's better? It's better. Okay. 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 All right. Apparently sounds all right. Uh but now these Steelers guys are tweeting about now these Steelers guys are tweeting about Jawan Jennings. Man, come on. I'm honestly tired of the rumors. Can we skip the rumor phase and can you just put the news out? Just skip the rumors. Just put the news out. Just announce it. Leaving us hanging all day. But I don't know. If you had to ask me my honest opinion, the 49ers drafting two wide receivers, uh, in one in the first round, one in the fourth round, with Ayuk, Debo, and Jawan, who's all three of their futures are clearly in doubt with the San Francisco 49ers. And you were to tell me only two of the three of them are going to be on the 49ers roster at training camp, I'd be like, yeah, I could see that. Like, to me, I'm not going to be surprised if one of these guys gets moved. I would prefer that doesn't happen, but I'm not going to be surprised by it. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I would say, that was kind of the initial like gut feeling when the 49ers drafted Ricky in the first round. It was like, oh, maybe we aren't out of the weeds yet with uh a potential move or something like that. So yeah, man, I don't know. It definitely feels like the what I would say is this about the potential moves at running back, or not running back, at wide receiver, is the 49ers have given themselves options to do multiple things. That's crystal clear. They have given themselves the flexibility to make some moves. Does that mean they're going to? We have to wait and see. Uh Report just came out. It's not Cortland Sutton. Ooh, that makes it a little bit more spicy. Where's that report at? DM that to me if you can. Uh I thought it was going to be Cortland. I thought it was for sure going to be Cortland. Huh. Interesting. What's that dog count got to say about all this stuff? He hasn't said anything. He kind of disappeared in the middle of the draft. Ooh, that's coming from a Broncos beat reporter. That's a Broncos beat reporter shutting down the Cortland Sutton news. Oh, we got something cooking, man. Something's going on. Something's uh, is it the Niner? Boy, I don't know. But what I do know is the smoke's getting thick. The smoke is getting thick. It's some thick smoke. Dude, are we gonna get some like wild? Oh gosh, the drama. The drama. The drama. Oh man. What if it's BA for Fautanu? I doubt that. These Steelers punks, man. These Steelers punks. Oh, interesting. I just typed in Steelers into Twitter. Dan Orlovsky 5 hours ago said the Steelers should try to trade for Debo. What's there's a lot of stop playing with my emotions. Ugh. Zach Frazier for Debo. Hey, the Steelers low key had probably my favorite. They probably had my favorite draft. I loved their draft. They got Zach Frazier and Troy Fautanu. They just got a bunch of good players. Like I really liked what the Steelers did in the draft. It was some good work by the Steelers. They did some good things for sure. They definitely did some good things. Uh yeah, those sons of guns. Now they're trying to take one of our wide receivers from us. Get out of here. Get out of here. Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. Those Steelers love talking about trading for one of our guys. Literally been like 2 months now, and they feel like they're on the verge. I mean, you got CTESBN tweeting about it. You got AB and his sauces talking about this. Like, what a come on, man. Ugh. Boy, oh boy. All right. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see now. So we're gonna have to wait and see. What do I think about Nugent from Michigan? He's intriguing. He's definitely a smaller prospect or a smaller center, offensive lineman. Definitely going to be a center. I like the fact that he was a captain at Stanford, then transferred to Michigan, started and anchored that offensive line that led them to a national championship. Um, he's he definitely seems capable. He doesn't seem like a dominating force from the center position. He's definitely short and stocky. But again, you can get away with being short playing the center position. Um, I don't know. It feels like the 49ers brought in a hell of a lot of center competition. You got Drake Nugent. Feels like Jarrett Kingston could be a center as well. Dominic Pooney could be a center. Um, feels like all the offensive linemen that they did bring in were all have center, uh, all point towards being a potential center. Um, so I wonder if they feel like they're going to be challenging Brendel this year, giving him open competition. So we shall see. We shall see. But like I said earlier, kind of the whole interior offensive line was inconsistent. It really didn't shore up until Feliciano solidified the starting spot and kept entering the lineup. I think Feliciano is going to be one of your more consistent offensive linemen. I'm not worried about him. So I think the 49ers might be looking at it. It's like between Banks, Brendel, and Burford, who's going to step up? Who's going to step up out of those three? Because I think Feliciano is going to be guaranteed a starting spot. He can play left, he can play right. I would say that heading into training camp, that all three of those guys might be competing. But there's nothing wrong with competition either. May the best man win. And Banks was definitely injured last year, so that could have definitely played into how he played. I like Banks too. And that's the thing. Burford has the opportunity to come into training camp and be the most improved player on the 49ers. Like he really could do that. But that's up that again, that's up to him. That's up to the work that he puts in. I think it all comes down to for Burford, it's mental preparation. That's it. If he just does his job on every single play, is where he's supposed to be on every single play, Burford would be good. He'd be a good player. He gets himself in trouble by not doing what he's supposed to do. It has nothing to do with ability. It's just he needs to do what he's supposed to do. He needs to be and it's not easy either. Like when you're an offensive lineman and you're coming up, there's a lot of things that you have to process very quickly, and you have certain techniques triggered by alignment, certain techniques triggered by each individual play. Like it's a challenge. It's not easy. So I don't want it to come across like, oh, it's super easy. But if he can get himself into the position he needs to be in each and every play, then he'll be fine. He'll be good. He'll be good offensive lineman. That's where he struggles. He struggles putting himself in the position he needs to be in every single play. And he finds himself out of position, and that's how plays deteriorate. So he has a chance to be one of the most improved players from year one to from last year to this year. So we'll see. I like Schrader. I talked about he reminds me of Alfred Morris. He's an Alfred Morris throwback. I like him. So I think the 49ers are going to be all right. I think they might find a they got the tight end Pline. He's going to be interesting. Evan Anderson, the defensive tackle, he's interesting. Jalen Mahoney has a ton of experience. He's interesting prospect. Justin says, have I watched a lot of Cowing at UTEP? He ran a lot more vertical routes there. I thought he looked like Tyreek watching him there. I've not watched him at UTEP. I've only watched him at Arizona so far. I wonder if I have UTEP tape. I actually might have some UTEP tape. Let me double check. I remember watching. I remember staying up late at the NFL Combine watching Jacob Cowing film. Remember being in Indy. It was probably wide receivers the next day, and I just remember crunching Jacob Cowing film. There it is. Let's see. Do they have UTEP? Nah. They got his 22-23 tape, but nothing beyond that. '22-23 tape. But I'm excited to see what this class does. I think this was a good class. I think the 49ers did a good job. What team did O-line Brad Graham from Cal go to? I played at Diablo Valley in Pleasant Hill. And then I went to Western New Mexico University. Let's go. Directional D2, baby. Stand up. Directional D2s. Stand up. Oh, good times. Good times. Do I buy into Lynch sending out false information? Oh, 100%. I love it. I did a whole video on it. I freaking love it because I got by it. And you if you really have been tracking this off season, if you've been tracking this off season, hey man, Mike Silver's had a great off season, but he's had someone. He's had someone plugged in. Someone's been feeding him the info. And yeah, I do. I believe it. I believe it. I think they set him up. And I love that they set him up. Like what so like galaxy brain move. Absolutely. You think you got a rat in your crew? Like that's some to me it comes across like some straight up mob, like some Godfather type vibe, like that's something the mob would do. The mob would put out two sets of information to see who bites, and based on who bites, it's going to tell you who your leak is. That's some mob stuff, and I love it. Like I love it. Again, man, people try to come at our front office. They try to come at John Lynch. They try to come at Kyle Shanahan, and I get it. They're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Each one of them have made their mistakes um, since they've taken over the 49ers, but dude, they're great. They're really great. Like you look at the body of work and what they've done and the long-term success and sustainability, and they're great. Obviously, if we would have gotten over the hump, any of these times, it would even be better. Um, but you still can't discredit just because we haven't been able to get over the hump. You can't discredit the work that they've done. They've done phenomenal work. We have That's why I don't like the all the slander all the time about Kyle and John. And it's not that they're not perfect, and it's not that they don't deserve critique or criticism. The problem is you have so much misguided critique and criticism that it's like, why would I even join a part of that? Like, yes, I can look at things that both guys have, uh, you know, failed at or whatever. But again, you look at the body of work and what they've done. They've done a really great job for the San Francisco 49ers. So it's like when it comes to critique and criticism, there's enough voices out there that are going to critique and criticism to the nth degree. Like, what do I need to for? Yeah, you guys handle that. You handle that. You yell and scream and pound the table and kick your feet like a little baby because you don't like this and you don't like that. Fine, go for it. I don't need to do that. I'm gonna stay over here, do my thing. I can recognize that people make mistakes and make bad decisions while ultimately being really good at what they do and being the best at, still being considered the best at what they do without being perfect. So if people want to bitch and complain, that's on them. But I don't need to be a part of that unless I feel it's justified. And if it is, I will. I will say I don't like this, I don't like that. But people get too in their feelings about holding guys accountable. How are we going to win Super Bowls if we don't hold them accountable? Whatever, man. I don't care. Uh do I think we lost a good draft because of the leak? No. This is a W comment, Charlene. San Francisco has the largest contingency of armchair general managers, 100%. And I am one of them. But this is the truest comment I've ever heard. We have so many people who think they can run the team better than what is going on right now. It's literally hilarious. And Charlene, that's phenomenal comment. It's absolutely true. And it's not just content creators, right? It's like there's a ton of fans like who just sit on their high horse and like poo poo at every move John and Kyle make. And oh my gosh, it's hilarious to watch play out. It's so funny. I'm just like, hey, I'm playing GM too. Literally, admittedly, playing GM. It's one of like why I'm so thankful that I get to do this job that I do because I literally get to play GM. I don't have to get held accountable for my draft misses. I don't have to be held accountable for bad free agent signings. I just get to play general manager. I was like, oh, this is what I do. This is what, you know. Good stuff. But hey, we'll see if we get a trade here. I don't know. These Steelers fans really seem to believe that they got something cooking. But I don't know if they do. But appreciate everyone for tapping in. Like I said, I'm gonna try to do a film breakdown of every single one of these prospects. So tomorrow's film breakdown, I should have Dominic Pooney on the channel. I think I'm gonna try to get that up early. Because so I've got a bunch of tape. I'll do excuse me, do a film breakdown, and I'll answer the question of why he will be an interior offensive lineman. A lot of people have been asking about, like, well, why can't he play tackle? I'll give you a lot of examples of why I think he will be an interior offensive lineman, and then of course I'm going to try to do film breakdowns on every single one of these guys, so we could get a good feel for what we got cooking, and we'll be nice and ready. You know what I'm so excited about? I mean, we got rookie OTAs, we got mini camp coming up, but training camp is like the next big milestone. I love it. I love it. I'll do some UDFAs too. I'm fine with that. Smash that like button for me before you guys head out. I would appreciate that. And I will see you tomorrow for some more 49ers talk. Appreciate you guys. I'm out of here for now. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to